So in part three, we're going to kind of look at almost finishing it, at least the, the, the backbone of it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can add. Hopefully, kind of in the last part that the left paddle was, I used A instead of, I believe, S. So it should have been W moves up, S moves down. You can just fix that, hopefully. You can see I added a lot in here, and I'm not going to go through how to do the counters because we already did that, but I have two counters. So right now the ball actually bounces off the paddles, so you can hopefully add that. There's a method called is touching that we've used before. It's not perfect. You can see that it looks like it kind of bounces a little bit before, but it works for us. There's another method that you can use that there's like get one object at offset. But it becomes a little bit more complicated. And if you want to do that, you can talk to me about implementing that. So I have the ball. It's bouncing off the paddles. I can control both paddles with two different the buttons. And I have it so if I miss, you can see that it put a score on the right paddle. If I missed on the left side, it gave me a point on the right. If I miss over here, it will give me a point there. But it's basically endless. And the other thing that it does is that, it goes right away. The ball is always moving. So, if you miss, you got to be ready that it's coming again. You can fix that, and maybe in my final version, I'll kind of have it there to fix it. But the score is working. So what I want to talk today about is just actually making this background a little bit nicer. Just kind of doing some stuff with that Greenfoot image. And kind of designing the background a little bit. And then you can add some other things into it. So if I go to my world, the only thing I want to do here is I have a lot of stuff, and you can see I have some counters and some other things in here. But I'm just going to go down a little bit. And I can actually make a new method because this is kind of getting big. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete some of this. I'm going to actually make a method called public void draw background. And I didn't have to do this. I could put all this stuff. It's just that this method is getting kind of big. And I'm going to make sure you call draw background. So I'm just going to call draw background right there. So what happens is this when this runs, this will actually go to here first, run whatever I put in here, and then come back and do this. You can make another method called, add objects, and put that code in there. So what I want to do is there's a method called get background. I thought it was get image, but it's called get background. And this returns to you a Greenfoot image of the background. So right now, if I do get background, that is just that white, basically white background. And I can do some stuff to it. So I can first do dot. We're right back to a Greenfoot image. So set color, and I can actually do new color. Let's take a look at the color class, because you could do, let me just step back. You could do color dot, and there's all these colors: black, blue, cyan, dark gray, gray, green, light gray, all magenta, red. And you can just hit, if you want red, boom, you got red. But what if I want, my own color? I don't want red. I want a little bit darker red. So remember, this is just a color. So I can actually put in new, and I'm going to call a constructor. Now, I don't know what the color constructor looks like, so I just open, close it, and I'm going to have to kind of look at it. So I'm going to jump back, hit help, and go to Greenfoot class documentation. And there's something here called color. So here's color, and here's those black, blue, cyan, all that stuff. But here's the constructors. I can just put in, an R, a G, and a B. Creates a new RGB value. And then there's another one, RGB and A. A stands for transparency. It's an alpha value, which stands for transparency. So you can kind of see through it if you wanted to. So I'm just going to use this right now. And the other thing while I'm up here is I'm going to go to, let's go to color picker. And maybe I want, maybe go a little grayish here. Maybe I want this color. So 192, 200, 214. So I'm going to go back to my program, 192, 200, 214. Go to my world. And 192, 200, and 214, I think it was. and that will create that color. Now all that did was I picked up that color as like a color marker. And then I have to do get background dot, and there's a method called fill. And if I run this, I have that background now. So pretty nice there. Let's add some more though. That's not all I can do. So I'll go back to my world and I will do get background dot set color. And I'm going to pick a new color now. So let me go with a little reddish. I don't want like real red. I'm going to go with that, like 255, 84, 84. So new color, 255, 84, 84. And I've set my color there, but this time I'm going to do get background dot draw oval. And if I read this, the first value is the x coordinate in the upper left corner of the oval, and then the y value of the upper corner, the y value, and then a width and a height to be drawn. So let's just play with this and see what happens. So if I put it in the center, let's kind of see what happens. So this world is 600 by 400. So let's just try 600 by 400. So 300, 200. And I'm going to make the width of this oval 100 and the height 100. So I should have a circle. Let's see what this looks like. A nice circle there. Now I don't want it there though. I got to move it like in the center. And I am just hard coding in. If you want to use get width and all that stuff, here's the thing to make sure is if you don't like the size of this world right now, make sure you change it before you start doing all this. Because otherwise you're going to have to change a lot of things. Like if I go up here and change this to 800 by 500, make sure you change all this stuff. That's why it's best to use get width, but for this it would be kind of, it's kind of tough. So I need to move this over and up basically by about 100 if you think about it by 50. So let's go 250, 150. Let's see what this looks like. Compile it, and there I have my circle in the center. It looks pretty good. So now I kind of have this, and this is just going to kind of sit there, and that's kind of working. Reset it. I'm going to go back, and there's another method called get background dot draw line, and the same thing, where you start and then how where you want to end up to is how that goes. So I want to start at basically the center. So what's that at? 300, 0, I want to start at. And I want to go to 300, 400. And that should draw a line right down the center in red. I haven't picked up a new color. So, something like that. And if I didn't want this line in the middle, you can obviously, do something like that. So this gives you a chance. I want you to kind of draw, something on there that you can do. And we can go from there. The other thing you need to do is you should have a win scenario. So when the score gets to 5 or 3 or whatever you want, you should have it stop and say you win and play. You should put sounds in here. You can put some other things that kind of decide what you kind of want to do with it. So hopefully that helps a little bit, and go from there.